Mortgages are financial crack to the middle class. The poor can't afford them, and the rich don't use them. All right, welcome back to the podcast, the Replace Your University podcast. I'm your host, Michael Lush. One of the topics I want to talk about today is overcoming limiting beliefs. And I want to use a very specific story. One we've used before, so you may have heard the story, but it's one of my favorite. And it's just one because I know it so intimately because he is now a partner with the company. But we have tons of these stories, whether it be TJ Wallstead or Dave Albin or any of these other names. But the specific one I really want to talk about is Edmund Fontana, rock star. Edmund came to us roughly 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, first as a client. And it was really cool how he first came to us because I had met his mortgage broker down at a marketing conference in Florida. And so we got to talking, and we're the mortgage world is a pretty small world. And we're down there learning some marketing tools from another gentleman. And we're at the bar and we're talking, and he's asking me, how I'm going to grow my mortgage company. And I said, honestly, I'm not here for that. I'm not here to grow my mortgage company, but what I do is very related to mortgages. It's actually the antithesis of mortgage. So his ears perk up, right? No different than mine did when I heard this. I was first brought to this through a mentor who owned a hedge fund. And what he told me was, Michael, mortgages are the financial crack to the middle class. And I was like, well, what does that mean? He goes, well, the poor can't afford them, and the rich don't use them. So think about it. Are you offering mortgages to poor people? No, they don't qualify, okay? How many rich people, and truly rich people with net worth of $5 million or more, are you offering mortgages to? It's like, none. Maybe I just hadn't broke into that niche market yet, but yeah, none. He goes, they're not using them. By and large, rich people are utilizing other people's money and other alternative sources of financing to be more efficient with paying off their homes. And a mortgage just isn't it. So again, it's financial crack to middle America. So that didn't sit well with me. So I set out on an endeavor to kind of create this, the Replace University and Replace Your Mortgage brand. But back to Edmund's story is I'm there at this really mortgage marketing meetup, and I'm telling his broker, which I didn't know he knew Edmund. I didn't know Edmund at the time. And he goes back and is talking to Edmund and says, look, you got to look into this. He's like, this obviously is shooting myself in the foot. I'm your mortgage broker, so I shouldn't be telling you this, but we're friends. So I'm telling you that this is probably the way that you should go and the way that you should finance real estate. So Edmund signs up for Discovery Call. This was back in the day when I was still doing all the calls, and I still do a lot of calls today, but it's more of a welcome call for our clients. And so I'm talking to Edmund, and I could tell he was very skeptical. Look, I've never heard of this. I did hear about it through my mortgage broker, which is the only reason I'm on the phone with you. But it wasn't something that immediately clicked with him, and did more research, talked to a CPA, and eventually he's like, all right, I'm going to give this a shot. So he jumped on board as a client, and within 6 months, he understood it. He's like, wow, this is powerful. He was an assistant vice principal for a high school. And it wasn't like he was making a typical teacher salary. He was still making six figures. So he was making a good income in the Upper East Coast as an assistant principal. So he had good income to really attack this. And within 6 months, he realized I'm able to pay this off extremely fast. And I'm also liquid. So he said, I'm itching to get out of this assistant principal job, this 9-to-5 job. So what can I do? And I was like, well, you could always come work with me. And that's what he did. So he came to work with me as an account executive, taking discovery calls. And within 90 days, Edmund was making more money taking discovery calls, sharing his passion, because he's seen this work in his own life. And so now it's easier for him to communicate and relate to other people that were in the same situation as him. So he did really well. And all he's doing is telling a story. He's not really selling. He didn't come from a sales background. And that's really what we try to do as a company. Instead of sell this thing, it's really just explain the logistics behind this and tell the story and how we can project what is really going to happen with you. This isn't like financial planning or anything like that where we're like, well, if the market does this, then hopefully you'll be here. That's not the way this works. We actually have a guarantee because we can look and mathematically determine where you're at now and where you're going to be with your current mortgage versus where you would be with our strategies. And that's why we can guarantee it, because at the end of the day, it just ends up being math. So he parlays his success with sales and as an account executive and signing up lots of people. And then he came to me and he said, all right, well, now I realize that there's more to this than just refinancing or readjusting your real estate portfolio, that you guys get into some other strategies too, and that you guys are talking about real estate, which is what we've done since 2014 is because as a real estate investor, most of your debt is from mortgages, right? So if this works on your primary home, why wouldn't it work on your real estate portfolio? So he said, look, I want to parlay this, and I'm looking to create a side hustle. So what should I do? And I asked him, I said, well, first and foremost, what's your passion? Don't create a side hustle that's going to feel like work. Don't create another company that you essentially work for. Even though you own the company, you're working for a company that you own. So create something that's a passion of yours. So what are you interested in? And he's like, real estate. I was like, perfect, got the guy for you, Nate Lambert. So he linked arms with Nate Lambert and created his own portfolio. So let's fast forward now with Edmund's story. Edmund now has millions of dollars in real estate. He and Nate work together through Replace Your Employer, and I think it's over 110, 120 deals that they've done in the last 2 years of real estate deals. They've now branched out into commercial properties as well, Airbnbs. So they've created quite the net worth between the two of them. And Nate has his own company, and inside of his own company, he's now the #1 real estate advisor in his company. And we're talking thousands of advisors that this company has, and he's #1 because of himself and also because of what Edmund has done. So Edmund, who I'm actually traveling tomorrow to Mexico, to Cancun, Mexico, so that we have a company trip. So think of the lifestyle that Edmund had prior to 4 years ago. He signed up as a client, and how he's parlayed that knowledge into a side hustle that allowed him to replace his existing employer, to building a real estate empire now worth millions of dollars of passive income. I have no doubt that when we're in Cancun this week, Edmund's going to be closing or identifying other real estate deals. Every single week, that's what he and Nate do. And they're accountability partners. And they passively grow their net worth even while we're on a sunny vacation beach trip. So that could be you. I mean, we have hundreds of clients just like that you're probably at the beginning point of this thinking, how do I get out of this? Maybe you're a police officer. Maybe you're in the education field as well. Maybe you're a teacher, and it's like, well, this is all I've ever known. Well, if that's all you ever do, this is all you will ever have. So take that leap of faith of just peer, look behind the door, look behind the curtains, and see that there is more to this world that can be offered in a better lifestyle, and just do exactly what Edmund did. If you want the success he has, just follow the exact same steps that he did to get to where he's at, from an assistant high school principal to now a multi-millionaire real estate investor. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, we have tons of other videos on other topics as well. And I encourage you to check those out. You can go to our website or click the links below in the description. I hope you get a lot out of them. I know I'm pouring a lot of value into these. I'm not holding anything back with these podcasts or these videos. This isn't just to generate traffic to our site or to generate calls. I hope that even if you never become a client and you watch this video, you've gotten some value out of it. So check out the other ones. I've done the exact same thing. Take care. God bless.